Hi, I'm Matticus at the Sunday Afternoon Project here with the United Nations for World Logic Day. I'm here with Brandyn. Right. How are you doing today?
Well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. So what brings you to World Logic Day?
Well, we are very delighted. My organization, Unify, is very delighted to be partnering with Logic Tree on creating solutions labs and logic purpose labs that are sort of like working groups in the Solutions Labs front that can help people carry the inspiration that they're receiving today and the aspirations that they set forward using both the Logic Tree tools and some additional programmatic support that we'll provide to help people create change together.
Well, it sounds like you've got a lot going on. Were you on one of the panels today?
Two of the panels, actually, yes.
Okay. All right. They have you really busy. Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. So I just have 3 questions for you.
Okay, great.
You can answer them however you like. But the first one, I'm kind of curious, like what motivates you? What gets you up in the morning? What gets you going?
Well, for me, it's really helping people turn that light on inside of themselves that helps them feel like agents of positive change. We heard Indy Johar this morning give us a really strong call to action that both laid out the urgency of some of the challenges that we're seeing with respect to the health of our planet. Another thing that I focus on is the urgent need to address some of the challenges to our democracy and governance systems. And I think part of what the Logic Tree tool can do and part of what our organization focuses on is how can we marry the head and the heart and some real concrete skills in order to help people come together, converge, and take collective action to turn their aspirations into activities, outcomes, and real concrete change in the world.
Well, I feel like there's. Oh, sorry, there's another camera in the background. I feel like there's definitely a lot to comment on there. But what do you? Has there ever been a time that you've had trouble like motivating yourself? Is there something that you could share with people on how to get through maybe something that's been a hardship that you've gone through?
Absolutely. I mean, I think there are so many challenges in the world today that it can feel really overwhelming, and like it's hard to know where to begin in order to make a difference. And so I think for me, one of the things that helps me stay energized and motivated is and just get through those moments when you feel like, oh, there's so much to deal with, is both connecting with others and creating one small step forward, thinking about not necessarily how do we solve this big, huge, enormous, overwhelming problem, but how do we look at that problem and break it down into its component parts and get sort of some stepping stones to go from step 1, step 2, step 3, where one small thing sort of starts off that chain reaction. And that's yet another reason why I'm excited to be here at World Logic Day and partnering with Logic Tree, because the use of logic in combination with connecting at the heart and values level can really help us figure out what should those step 1, step 2, step 3 be when we get that overwhelmed, paralyzed feeling.
That's such a great example on how to process and get through. I actually see myself following that just crossing something off the list because things feel so large. So a great way to look at that perspective. Could you tell me what gives you a sense of belonging?
Yes. We had a wonderful conversation yesterday led by one of the panelists about thinking about the word community as a verb as opposed to a noun, so that we're not thinking of sort of bounded communities that have a hard line around them, which actually, even though a lot of us find belonging in community, that can actually create exclusion, but rather thinking about how we can commune with one another in a boundaryless way. And so thinking about how we connect locally, how that connects globally, and as a community organizer, making those connections in a practical way helps me feel like I can sort of belong anywhere.
Absolutely. So it sounds like you're doing a great job on helping other people belong. Has there ever been a time that someone's helped you belong?
Oh my goodness, that's such a great question. I think people help me belong all the time in ways big and small. And I think when we're thinking again about the problems of like social cohesion and belonging, the things that have made me feel belonging the most are often the littlest things. Getting a big, huge smile and a warm greeting when I enter the room. Just having someone show interest and listen carefully to what I might be sharing in response to a question that they ask. Those small little actions aggregate, I think, to really big changes. And it's like that one action can change the tone of a whole interaction or a whole room for just one person to really express warmth and welcoming.
And can I ask you, this is kind of personal and a little off the cuff here, but you seem like a facilitator. Would you consider yourself a facilitator?
Yes.
So I think facilitators often have problems accepting that they need to be in a belonging situation, and people are like, oh, they're fine.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you can comment on that to kind of explain to people like maybe where you are that do you think that you like that when you walk into a room that you belong, or do you need that sense of belonging to feel comfortable?
Yeah, I think we all need that sense of belonging. One of the things that actually helps me feel belonging, which is probably why I like facilitating, is helping others to feel belonging. That said, one of the things we've talked about at this conference is the idea that you never know what's going on underneath the surface, and every person has extreme struggles and challenges. And I, of course, am not immune from that, nor are other folks who try to create belonging for others or facilitate others. So I think it's really great for us all to be mindful both of the fact that whatever we're struggling with, others are struggling too, and to help give ourselves and others a little bit of grace. Like maybe that person's scowl wasn't that they think I'm a terrible person and I shouldn't have walked into the room. Maybe it's because they're going through something in their life at this moment. And similarly, maybe I can also help those folks who on the surface look like they belong everywhere. Maybe I can help make sure that that's actually the case and it's not just what I'm seeing on the surface.
Absolutely. That's a great skill to have as a facilitator, to be able to take that and put that into something to help out other people. Our last question here is, if you can go back into time and talk to your younger self, 8 or 9 years old, what would you tell yourself?
Great question. And if you have a time machine handy, I would love to jump right in. I would tell myself that it's okay to fail fast, fail often, that failure is a stepping stone to greater success. And what we get from our failures is really just data that can help us learn and evolve. And if we really want to connect to the transformation that needs to happen in the world and that can happen in order to keep our planet healthy, to have our governance be healthy, allowing ourselves and each other to fail just accelerates that progress.